Yes, hello my friends and happy new year. Hopefully you're having an amazing start to 2023. You can see we've got some rain in the air. I got all dressed up. I thought we're gonna come outside, do a walk and talk. We had a little break in the rain and then it just started drizzling back down, but I've already got this little coat thing on, so we're doing it, baby. We're gonna go out here and get a walk and talk in because we've got some headlines to attend to. Actually, not that much in terms of headlines because it was New Year's. And, you know, there were two camps last night. I wasn't sure what camp I was going to end up in, whether it was going to be the in bed before 8 camp or the, you know, stay up and go out and go do something with people thing. I kind of suspected it wasn't going to be that latter camp, but I wasn't sure if I was going to actually stay up past midnight. And I did. I actually made it past midnight and rang in the new year and then went to bed pretty hard. So I was kind of in the middle there, you know. I wasn't in the bed before 8, definitely wasn't out raging. Kind of just a nice little, oh, fireworks. Oh, 2023 is here. And so hopefully your evening and morning was also enjoyable and beautiful. I know many parts of the country are getting snowed in and rained in. We've got, I think this is coming over from California. I know they're getting flooded out all over the place. But last night when we were talking about the new year, I was flipping around some of the TV shows, some of the New Year specials that were out there. And there was one, I forget what station it was, that was going around the world. And you know, different parts of the United States, I think San Francisco, New Orleans, and some of the different cable platforms had, you know, the big events. And so just kind of observing. I don't pay much attention to the, you know, that sort of pop culture, performance, music, star stuff. But it was happening, and I was observing. And of course, there were some very interesting individuals who were leading the celebrations here in the United States. And on one channel, I saw Miley Cyrus, Paris Hilton, and Dolly Parton. And I was thinking to myself, okay, very interesting choices to ring in the new year, kind of to set the tone for the year, to be symbols, so to speak, of, I guess, you know, representative of our culture and the things that we're interested in, the people we look up to and want to hear from and want to see it, you know, celebrate and ring us in and all that stuff. Okay. All right. Then we were flipping around and they take us over to Dubai. Now Dubai, of course, has the Burj Dubai, which I believe is still the tallest building in the world, set to be challenged at some point. But they had a show there where they basically turned the entire building into this firework. I mean, it was one of the most insane things I had seen recently. They had fireworks. If you know this building, right, it's massive. And it is all lit up. They had, you know, holographs or lasers, you know, over the whole thing. And they also had the fireworks shooting off the top of it. They had fireworks shooting out the side of it. They had lasers coming out of it. It looked like the production of the century. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. All of the effort and time and money and thought that went into it. And it was just an interesting compare and contrast between the two performances, between Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus and Paris Hilton. You know, sort of like just hanging on to like an old era. Just like, we got nothing else to talk about. Do we have anybody good to put up? No, just, okay, well, just bring in the old stuff that worked last time, you know? And I'm not saying that they're not good or whatever, I don't even know. But it's just an interesting side by side. This is what one part of the world is focused on, building the biggest buildings with the most, insane technologies and reforming their entire economic structure, being the best, being the biggest, being number one, something that the whole world can literally watch in awe. I watched in awe. I was going, this is crazy. Is this real? Like, it almost looked like it was CGI. But I believe it was real. I mean, it was crazy. And then back over here, it's like, it's just some screeching old, songs about something. Okay. But it was an interesting spectacle nonetheless. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it out there. But hopefully we get some bigger things to focus on as a country. I think in the upcoming year will be nice. Now, as you can see, we have some leftover rain from California. They're getting flooded out over there. The sun's setting behind us over here. But not getting too wet. It's nice to get out and get some of this weather. Soak it up. Now, the other story we were talking about last week. See, they're getting outside too. They're soaking it up too on scooters. Good for them. Was Kari Lake. And she just filed her appeal. There's been a lot of activity on it, and I have not taken a deep dive look at it to read through all of the filings, but I do have a general question that's going to be an appealable issue, because I flipped through it and it looks like they're talking about a lot of stuff that is kind of outside the scope of what we heard in the trial. So, in appeals traditionally, right, the rules are you can only appeal things that you brought up at trial. Like, if you didn't bring up a defense, if you didn't try to do or make an argument or to, make a move, you no longer have the opportunity to do that. You should have just tried it then. In other words, like, you can't present evidence, new evidence that you didn't already present, unless there's, extenuating circumstances and you can justify it. But there's traditionally, the answer is no. Like, lay it all out there. The game's over. You don't get to, shoot hoops after the game ends. See if you can score. So with Kari Lake, my question always was, because this trial is so weird, right? It's an election trial. All the rules are different. All the time frames are ultra compressed. You have sort of like, like state secret type doctrines that are not state secret type doctrines. In other words, we're going to trial on an election case where they haven't even completed their root cause analysis. Like, how can you do that? It'd be like going to trial on a DUI without the blood results. Like, well, we think they're high. Okay. Do you know or not? Like, what's the answer? Because if the answer is no, here, I gotta shake my phone to get some of the water off. All right, that's what that was. If you don't even know what the root cause was, how can you justify anything? Because everybody can say, well, I think the root cause was this. You can't debunk that. You can't refute that. No, I think it was fraudulent. No, it wasn't. Well, do you know? No. Will you know? Yeah, as soon as we finish the root cause analysis. When's that going to be? As soon as Katie Hobbs is sworn in as governor, then we'll go ahead and tell you. It's like, no, we'd like a little bit more than that. But, they do have statutory timelines that they have to adhere to, because Katie Hobbs is going to be sworn in. So they're trying to really, really, aggressively get this done quickly. So my question is, because the judge gave them such a limited window to present their evidence, like a lot of people, I had some criticism certainly for the Kari Lake team and for the whole, strategy, but a fair, caveat to all of that, I think, and a response that a lot of people were responding, to my take on it was, judge didn't give them any time. Their attorneys had basically no time to do anything. And so they had to kind of cobble together like a 2-week case, that you'd present over 2 weeks into like 6 hours, which is nuts, and it was nuts. And so that's why they bring in Barris and they bring in, multiple experts, and they try to hit it all. It's kind of like a shotgun approach versus a sniper approach. And, I would have been, I think, more trying to check those boxes, as we talked a lot about on the show, just constantly. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about anything else except those boxes. And so, the question in the appeal is, did they have to, are they limited to those boxes, right? Or only the evidence we heard in the trial? Or can they bring in outside evidence? Like, for example, the blood results, the DUI blood results. Could they bring in the root cause now? If, they come out and they say, oh, guess what? The root cause was somebody changed the printer settings. We know who it is. Well, sorry, trial's over. Well, but the root cause, though, sorry, time's up. Wait a minute. And there are provisions in criminal law. We have things called post-conviction relief, where if there is something that went wrong, if you go to trial and you get convicted, you lose, and you learn later that the officer lied on the stand or something, right? It's not like, well, sorry, game's over. In a football game, maybe that's true. You find out somebody cheated. It's, the record books stay the same. Criminal law, post-conviction relief, you can make your case and try to reopen that case and demand a new trial and all that stuff. So can you do that with elections? Are there any due process protections with elections? Not really, right? Kari Lake, can she do what we do in criminal law and say, I was denied my opportunity to be heard? I'm a criminal defendant. If I've been charged with a crime, certain things apply to me as a criminal defendant pursuant to the Constitution: due process, equal protection of the law, right to counsel. You got all sorts of legal limitations on what the police can do, what type of evidence the prosecutors can use. It's all codified in the Constitution. But not for electoral candidates. There's nothing in there that guarantees them all of this stuff. If the courts don't want to protect it, if the legislatures don't want to do anything about it, and big money efforts from the Republican team aren't going to be pouring funds into, fund law firms like certain other law groups out there, that have apparently just endless funding, then people like Kari Lake are at a serious disadvantage. She can make her claims, make her appeals all they want, but those same principles, about due process and equal protection and standards, clear and convincing evidence and all this stuff, it's just a lot more fluid. She doesn't get those same protections. If the system says good enough, it's pretty much good enough. And, that's being exploited right now, I think, massively. Big time. Democrats see that. They just say, well, courts aren't going to do anything about it, so. And you can see how difficult it is for anybody to get anything done in a case like this. I mean, what evidence could Kari Lake get if they're still doing their root cause analysis, if they're still trying to tease out what actually happened? Makes your arguments more difficult. It'd be like a prosecutor trying to prove a criminal case with no evidence. And a prosecutor wouldn't be able to get access to evidence. Right? You say, prove my DUI case without my blood or my breath. It's hard to do. They can't do it. Those cases get dismissed. Right? And they're sort of asking Kari Lake to do the same thing. Can you prove there was fraud without access to any evidence, please? No, it's hard for me to do that. Well, you're just a crazy person then, aren't you? You know? So, tough deal. But we'll likely read through it. I'll take a look more closely at the actual filings and see how those look before we dig into it. But the other thing I saw on some of the headlines today, or some of the Twitter conversations, was Kinzinger. You know, last week, or whenever that was that Friday? We talked to Ray Epps and read through his deposition. And the Ray Epps depo was full of good stuff. Ray Epps said he orchestrated the whole thing. Oh yeah, no, I was there. I orchestrated it. Texting his nephew. You go, hey, Kinzinger, J6 committee, Cheney, you're literally prosecuting the Oath Keepers for seditious conspiracy, for orchestrating all of this. Ray Epps just said he did that, and he's a former member of the Oath Keepers. Why is he not included? You know, so on and so forth. Totally ridiculous. And if he's not a Fed formally, then why the double standard? Why aren't all of the other J6ers getting patty cake depots with the J6 committee rather than criminal convictions and incarceration? So, the point is, Ray Epps, in his own admission that came out from his own J6 committee, was affirming certain things that we already knew to be true. One of which was that he said into the Capitol, right? They asked him questions about that. And they said, Ray, why are you saying into the Capitol? Like into. Because, well, what I meant was for a tour. I thought it'd be open, and I was cold. It's so funny. You know, and we made so much fun of the J6 hysterics for a long time when we were saying that something they would do, you know, they were prosecuting all of the grandmas out there who were just taking tours. We'd say, yeah, you know, grandmas were coming in and they were taking tours around. And then all of the psychopaths out there, because there were actually grandmas taking tours. There's that one photograph of that one lady. She's like, this is crazy. And she has her American flag and she's just kind of standing in the Capitol. It's like, how did I get here? Cracks me up. Because she looks like this sweet, you know, this like perfectly sweet, innocent lady. And then you turn over to Jake Tapper and he's like, we almost died. The country almost died. It's like, you guys are crazy. Now, it's, you know, at the same point, right, it's also, there wasn't, you know, it's not like a lawn chair got blown over on that day. But the point is, you know, there's major double standards that exist for the different categories of people. And when the J6 committee releases transcripts that confirm that Ray Epps is using the same defense as everybody else, the tour, you know, no, we're going in there. We thought it was open. We thought like we were going to go take a tour. Ray Epps used that same defense. No, I thought I'd go into the Capitol. And Kinzinger was playing patty cake with him, trying to paper over the whole thing. And somebody called him out on Twitter about this. And Kinzinger, who's going to be out of his congressional seat very soon, it's going to be beautiful, is saying that it's a total lie, right? Somebody said Ray Epps literally was saying go into the building, which is on video. And he also said that I orchestrated it. Kinzinger dropped the old retweet and said, literally a lie. Literally a lie. Or something. And it's on video. Like we played the video on this segment last week. And it's in the transcript that was from the deposition from his useless, illegally constituted fake committee. Oh, we'll get some good sunset here today. Some good rainy sunset. And so Kinzinger is going to be leaving Congress soon. And he said he's looking forward to being out of there. Sort of good riddance is what he said. And I think the rest of the country feels that way. So Kinzinger will be gone. Cheney's gone. There is some kerfuffles brewing with Trump and some of the Republicans again. There was a comment from Trump about sort of why the midterms didn't go so well. He referenced Republicans dropping the ball on abortion, saying they handled that issue badly and they got punished for it. Which is interesting because many people are giving Trump tons of credit on the abortion issue because it was he who got the new 3 judges appointed who were responsible for the Dobbs decision. So it's sort of like Trump is saying that one of his biggest wins in many conservative eyes, right, many Republicans' eyes, is not a win at all. That it's actually something that has been botched. And so, they're using that as a wedge issue for him, right? What would you do? Do you support it this way or do you support it that way? And so, we'll see that issue continue. But in this new year, it's 2023, we're going to see that balance of power change. And the Republicans have promised us a whole lot. We've covered most of it here. How many different letters have we read through here? From Jim Jordan and Chuck Grassley in the Senate, all of them. And I like those guys. And I hope that they are serious about what those letters mean, what they symbolize. Because there was another story that the White House lawyers responded to them, and they said, we're not responding to you at all. Do what you need to do, in other words. Because there was one final letter, I think it was 1,000 pages, from, I think, Jim Jordan. It was a summary of all of his letters from, the several years, 2 years, I think. And so the White House just said, we know you want that. No, we got your letters. We got them. We're annoyed you keep sending them. But we're not responding to them. So do whatever you gotta do. Form a committee. Do whatever. And we'll see if the Republicans call their bluff on that. I'm not so sure that they will. I think the Republicans love to talk. But for whatever reason, when it's time to actually act, they know that they have to go to the same cocktail parties. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Ooh. Beautiful. Wow. Wow. This rainbow. Let's see. About as good as you can get on a rainbow. Look at that. 2023. Good way to start. We just caught that too. Very little special treat for us here. See the sun going down. Other people are out. The rain is subsiding. Many people are stopping to take pictures. It's too funny. What a treat, huh? Birds are chirping. Well, my friends, beautiful day. Beautiful start to the year. And I'm glad that we got to share that together. I'm glad that that just popped out. Caught me by surprise. It is going to be a beautiful year, my friends. It was a beautiful 2022. And I think we're just getting started. I think that, even when the world can feel like things are often down and dreary, with that positivity, with that community, with adhering to values, with staying connected, with putting one foot in front of the other, just one day at a time, small bites, chipping away, things do get better day by day, bit by bit. I had a friend, he was an older gentleman. He used to say, inch by inch is a cinch, and yard by yard is hard. And that always kind of stuck with me. And I always like a new year because it's always a good place to start. You can always say, all right, kind of got a zeroed out again. Let's get started and see what we can achieve. So hopefully you're having a beautiful day and thinking through what a good 2023 looks like for you. And I'll see you, my friends, on the next one. Make it a beautiful day and a beautiful year. Bye-bye.